What's up, YouTube? It's ZTAY, aka Lil Red. Today we are talking about my expectations for the Dallas Mavericks. We've done the Warriors, we've done the Nuggets, we've done the Spurs. Now we're on to the Dallas Mavericks, and yeah, there is a pattern. I do a lot of West teams. If you guys didn't know, hey man, most of my reactions were from West teams last year. I am interested in some East teams like the Knicks this year, maybe the 76ers, I guess. Magic, Pacers, of course. But hey man, let's get back to the subject. Dallas Mavericks. What are my expectations for the Dallas Mavericks this year? You guys probably seen a lot of offseason content of me looking at this team and studying their new roster, and I really like it. If you guys haven't checked out, go check out my Patreon video. It's free for everybody, where I kind of broke down why the Dallas Mavericks really got exposed in the finals last year, roster wise. In specific, just Derrick Jones Jr. I love Derrick Jones Jr. as a player, but hey, the Celtics did something that disrupted them on offense and took them away from what they do best. And that is Luka Doncic, Derek Lively, Luka Doncic, Daniel Gafford, or Kyrie Irving with those guys too. Hunting matchups that they prefer, putting interior centers that teams want to keep in the paint out to the perimeter, putting them in the drop and putting them in a pick and roll with Luka, Kyrie, and making them work, and then having shooting outside of that. And I think last year they lacked some of that shooting outside of it. And I think in previous years, because I've been following the Mavericks for a very long time, they were lacking that lob threat. And I was trying to advocate for the Dallas Mavericks to go out and get a lob threat center, and that's exactly what they did in the draft last year with Derek Lively, who, by the way, I really wanted the Lakers to get, but he went really high in the draft, and we've seen why. He's a really good player. Going into year two, he was a rookie playing big minutes in the NBA Finals. The confidence this guy is going to have going into next year is going to be huge, and I think the new roster moves that they made in the offseason is going to unlock Derek Lively even more, and this is why. Taking a look at the new roster, Klay Thompson is the big name that stands out. That's what everybody's excited about, and they should be excited about it because they went out and replaced Derrick Jones Jr. with Klay Thompson in the starting lineup. Now, I'm not saying, oh yeah, Derrick Jones and Klay are the same player, and that's what they're trying to, no. Starting lineup wise, the starting five, the five best players that they will put on the floor. I mean, Gafford's probably, I love Gafford, but he's probably not the best player available just because of Derek Lively. This is also just a rumored depth chart. I don't think this is actually what it's going to be. Maybe it is, but we've seen last year that Gafford was getting a lot of good minutes, but I think Derek Lively eventually will pass him up. But I think that's overlooking what Dallas did last year, halfway through the season, making probably the best trade in the league, kind of similar to what the Lakers did in 2023, making that trade and then making a large run after it, except the Lakers couldn't finish it. I mean, the Mavericks couldn't finish it either, but trading for PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford was by far the best trade in the NBA last year. And this team was on fire going into the playoffs, and that's exactly what you want for a playoff run. Because in all honesty, I didn't think this team even had it in them to make it that far last year. I think they exceeded my expectations last year. But this year it's a different story. I have really high expectations for the Dallas Mavericks. If you guys haven't seen my standings video, go check it out. But I have the Dallas Mavericks coming top 3 in West, and it might not even be 3. I think they are one of the most talented teams in the entire NBA. And we seen last year that Luka and Kyrie were good enough to get them to the NBA Finals. We've seen PJ Washington step up huge in some of those series. And I think adding Klay Thompson is going to even put less pressure on PJ Washington. I think the Dallas Mavericks were asked to do way too much with Derrick Jones Jr. last year in the NBA Finals. And that is only because the Boston Celtics went with a strategy to put Al Horford and Kristaps Porzingis matched up with him so that they knew the Dallas Mavericks could not use Derek Lively as a roller. They knew that they wanted to attack those two guys in specific on defense because they are not known to be perimeter players, perimeter defenders. So they brought them out, but the Celtics countered by putting them on the weakest shooter in the starting lineup. And I don't even think Derrick Jones Jr. is the worst shooter in the world. I think he's a pretty decent shooter who's actually gotten better as his careers went on. But now you change that with Klay Thompson. Teams can no longer hide their big man on Derrick Jones Jr. They can no longer sag off of him and help. Now the spacing is even better for the offense. The offense of the Dallas Mavericks is going to be much improved next season. But I am worried about one thing, and that is defense. Because Klay Thompson is no longer in his prime when it comes to defense. I still think Klay Thompson is one of the best shooters in the league. He shot almost 40% last year on a down year, so-called, by a lot of Warriors fans. he's going to be fine. His shooting percentage is going up next season. I think the biggest thing is about egos and making sure that Clay, Kyrie, and Luke are all happy. But we've seen Kyrie Irving will take a backseat to win. He is a mature player, and he is the leader of that team, the unspoken leader maybe. No, he is the spoken leader of that team. But I want to see Luka kind of step into that role. I know a lot of people think I'm hard on Luka, but I'm not gonna go to this stupid ass. Yeah, we ain't talking about that. Let's talk about what the roster is right in front of me, okay? The starting lineup has everything you need to be successful with the roster assembled offensively. Like, they are gonna be top 5 offense in the league, and they might even be 1, because you got the lob threat in Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford, and then you got that stretch in the corner that could play perimeter defense. Every single team values this, and not every single team has it. PJ Washington is going to have a huge year for the Dallas Mavericks because his role is now more defined. Him and Derek Jones Jr. kind of flip-flop roles. They were thrown into something real quick in an uncomfortable situation, but now he knows his role. And if teams want to hide their big on PJ Washington, that is, in my opinion, better for the Dallas Mavericks than what it was last year, because PJ Washington is a pick and pop threat. We've seen it in Charlotte. Him and LaMelo Ball, it don't matter who the ball handler was, he was a consistent pop threat for the Charlotte Hornets. Last year, I think his three-point shooting actually improved, probably because he was more of a catch and shoot player. He didn't have to even catch it off the pop, which is even harder to shoot. But then you got Klay Thompson. You know, spacing wise, the offense looks amazing. And then on defense, you add a Najee Marshall. So we're going to be talking about the defense too, because I know I said this team is kind of weak defensively, but then you add Najee Marshall and Quentin Grimes. These two are very, very scrappy 3-and-D players, and they're very, very valuable in the modern NBA. And I think the Dallas Mavericks got steals in both of them. I do not think Quentin Grimes' career is thrown in the trash. I think he is a gem that was thrown in a dumpster. And I think when he was on the New York Knicks, I really loved him as a player. He looked like he was probably top 3 option on the Knicks, on that Knicks team that he was on. But then things fell apart. He wanted the ball more. He didn't want to just be a catch and shoot player. I don't know if that's going to be the story with the Dallas Mavericks. I think the only reason it was like that in New York is because sometimes New York's offense at the time of that roster was not as consistent as the Dallas Mavericks is. So I don't think he's going to have any ego issues in the Dallas Mavericks room because of the talent with Luka and Kyrie and Clay and PJ. You don't have any room to do that. But he's also a great defender, and so is Najee Marshall. Najee Marshall is one of the most underrated defenders in the league, and he could shoot the ball, and he's got a inside game. He's got a close shot game. He got a float game. He could get buckets. He's a shot creator. He's so many things. He's such a versatile player, and I think that's going to help the Mavericks out a lot, especially if they need to stagger some lineups in, because they have really good depth on this team this year. They get Spencer Dinwiddie back, and I know Mavericks fans are really happy about that, because the last time Spencer Dinwiddie was in a Mavs uniform was the last time he was good. And I hate to say that as a Lakers fan. I loved Spencer Dinwiddie when he was on the Dallas Mavericks. In my opinion, when they traded for Kyrie Irving, I was kind of worrisome about the trade because they got rid of Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, which were key players for Luka, but they have adjusted, and then they ended up finding a way to get Spencer Dinwiddie back. And I'm a Spencer Dinwiddie fan, so I hope he does good, but last season was by far probably his worst season in the league. In the last 5-7 years. There's a reason he got waived by the Brooklyn Nets last year. He was not playing good. The Nets kind of gave up on him, and I don't think you should give up on a player who's not performing to the expectations that you know they could be. But I think the Nets were just in a horrible situation. They were just trying anything. People were trying not to lose their jobs, even though they did, Jacques Vaughn. And then he was brought into a situation with the Lakers where he was asked a lot, and he was already kind of struggling in the season. I think he actually found his rhythm a little bit when the season went on. So I'm going to be looking to see how many minutes that the Dallas Mavericks going to be playing him. I think he already knows the system. He's going to get good minutes. I think Spencer Dinwiddie, in all honesty, he's going to have a bounce back year, but we'll see. Maxi Kleber is still there. We saw him deal with some health issues last year in the playoffs, but he is actually a huge part to this team, and he was actually in the starting lineup the majority of last season before the trade for Daniel Gafford. So I'm expecting a really solid year for Maxi Kleber if he can stay healthy, because he has proven that he can't really stay healthy. So we'll see. And Dante Exum, hey man, he is not going to be asked to be the second option now or the sixth man of this team. I think they were asking way too much of Dante Exum, and he actually lived up to what they needed. So I think him getting that confidence boost that he needed, and now he's going to settle into a role that's not maybe too much for him. Dante Exum's going to have a really efficient year, and I think that's what the Dallas Mavericks need. And then maybe Jaden Hardy is not going to be asked to come into the NBA Finals and be, hey, we need you really bad for scoring, even though we didn't play you half of last year. I mean, they did, but, you know, in and out of the lineup. Not he didn't get consistent minutes last year like I would like to see in a second-year player. It might have been his third year last year. I believe it's his second year last year. But I'm a big believer in Jaden Hardy, especially his rookie season. He was really showing out. He was untouchable in trade talks. So I know the Dallas Mavericks are high on Jaden Hardy. I think with the additions of Spencer Dinwiddie, it's going to help him out in his development even more. At least that's the hope. And then I want to see Omax get some minutes, man. I was watching this guy in the draft combine before the draft even started. There's a reason that he got drafted. He wasn't actually projected to get drafted in the first round or the second round really at all. But in the draft combine, a draft combine that had Brandon Podziemski in it, Omax was probably the best player on the floor. There's a reason his draft stock moved up so much. I saw the potential with Omax. He's an insane athlete. He's a great rebounder. He's a really good defender, and I've seen him be able to score and shoot the ball. So maybe we see a bigger role with Omax, but I don't know about his development because this team is in win now contention. We are a championship roster. So be patient with him, Dallas Mavericks fans. And then they actually get Kessler Edwards. If you guys didn't know about Kessler Edwards, he was actually starting for the Sacramento Kings, I believe, like early last year, 2 years ago in the playoffs or in the play-in. The playoffs. Kessler Edwards was getting big minutes. He's a 3-and-D threat, which is exactly what Dallas needs around superstar guards like Luka, Kyrie. I was going to say Dinwiddie, but he's not no superstar guard. But you get what I'm saying. Shot creating, playmaking guards that could get their own shot and get people open. This roster is assembled perfectly. I'm very high on the Dallas Mavericks. If they could stay healthy, this team is going to play way better than they did last year. And last year, they actually played really good. They exceeded my expectations last year. They were a 50-win team after missing the playoffs the year before, which is why I wasn't high on them going into the year, because it's like, how do you get Kyrie Irving and Luka and still find a way to miss the play-in with a weak schedule that you guys were losing games that you should? All right, we're talking about 2 years ago. Let's get to that, because that's all that matters is right now. This team is going to be good. Let's get to the schedule, man. Like we saw in the Spurs video, they are playing the Spurs again for opening night, but this time they are at home. Their crowd is going to be into it. I'm expecting their crowd to be into it because they just got to the finals. There's a lot of hope for this team. This is going to be a huge game because I think, like I said, the Spurs have improved a lot. I mean, I'm very excited for this, to watch this game. Mavericks versus Spurs, Texas team rivalry, and I think the Texas teams are really solid this year. And the Mavericks, Rockets, and Spurs, like, it's gonna be tough, in their conference, in their division. Not even their conference, in their division. And then they got a road game in Phoenix, who I think is another top 4, top 5 team in the West. So they got 2 tough games to start it off, and then they got the Jazz. So maybe that's a little break game, especially at home. But then they got a back-to-back versus one of the top 3 teams in the West, in my opinion. That's the Minnesota Timberwolves. Expect the Mavericks to be on national TV a lot this year too. That's what I'm thinking. They got Klay Thompson. They got star power, man. They got star power now. They're going to be on national TV a lot. Yeah, but that Minnesota Timberwolves game is going to be really good. And they got the Rockets. They got a good amount of home games to start the season, I noticed. At least winnable home games. All their easy games are at home, so they should win all these games, in my opinion. Spurs, Jazz, and Rockets. Even though the Rockets and Spurs are improved teams, and this is a new team building some chemistry, I expect them to win these games. These two are going to be the big test games, Suns and Timberwolves. And then they got the Magic at home. This is also not going to be an easy game this year. The Orlando Magic, in my opinion, are probably one of the most underrated teams in the league. Pacers too. I think the Pacers and Magic actually going to be 2 very tough teams this year. And I could see the Pacers and Magic competing for like top 4 spots in the East. That's how talented they are. And I think a lot of young talent is going to start winning in this league, and we're going to start to see that. But then they get the Bulls at home. So 3-4 game homestand right here. So look at this. To start the year, looks like Dallas is at home a lot, which is good for confidence building. And we know that Dallas crowd, and if you guys didn't know, like, I'm high on the Dallas crowd. Like, they get loud even if they're losing. We've seen it in that Clippers series. So I think this is going to be huge for a team that's trying to find a new identity and trying to find new continuity with somebody like Klay Thompson. He's going to get introduced to that home crowd real quick. He's been playing for the same damn team his whole career, and it's going to be a new adjustment for him. And I think the perfect people to help him adjust is Luka and Kyrie Irving. Like, especially Kyrie Irving. I think Kyrie Irving just helps all these teammates adjust to this new team. We've seen it last year with Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington. I mean, Luka does it with his play on the court, but I think Kyrie does it just as a leader on the court vocally and off the court too. Not even on the court, off the court as well. And that's why I think that'll help Spencer Dinwiddie out a lot too. Suns and Mavericks back to back. Suns and Nuggets back to back. Ooh, that one's gonna be tough. So the beginning of November is looking a little bit rocky for him, I'm guessing. Not really. I mean, you got the Magic and Pacers, two really tough games. Then you got the Bulls, a little break game, but it's at home. But this is going to be a little tough going into the cup, because then, I mean, the Warriors beatable too, and then the Jazz, they're beatable. Spurs, Thunder, Pelicans, Nuggets. That's tough stretch right there, and two of them are on the road as well, and they're very close together, so this is going to be a tough little start. Mid-November is going to be a little test for them when you guys see the NBA Cup. But I also think the NBA Cup is a great way to form chemistry with your guys, playoff chemistry, because they're kind of a playoff atmosphere. Heat, Hawks, two teams to not sleep on, but two winnable games for the Dallas Mavericks. They are on the road, so it's going to be a lot tougher back-to-back as well. So even when you think they get break games, it's like, no, back-to-back on the road. Heat versus Hawks, two very tough teams to beat in the East. Then you got the Knicks back at home and the Jazz, and then it starts getting a lot easier with the Trailblazers. I mean, you do have to play the Grizzlies, but then it's the Wizards, Raptors, Clippers are not bad. But these teams, Clippers, Blazers, like, woo, yeah. Start of December is going to be a nice chill time for the Mavericks, and I think that's not the case around the league. We've already seen some of these schedules get tough around December, so I think the Dallas Mavericks, if they want to get that first seed in the West, got to pull out around this start. Right when the NBA Cup starts, that's when they got to start going crazy. So when you guys see those colors on the floor, just know your team is going to have a lot of winnable games. They actually have a Christmas game this year, and that is Timberwolves versus Dallas at home. So Dallas is actually getting a Christmas game after playing the Trailblazers and Clippers back-to-back. They should be confident going into this one. They should be feeling good, and it's going to be a lot of fun watching Ant-Man and Kyrie and Luka all on Christmas Day. 11:30 a.m. Ooh, Christmas Day is kind of looking cool this year. Then they got the Suns on the road, and then the Blazers. I also think the Kings going to be one of the toughest teams in the West too. And then the Rockets. These are two tough games. So to start the new year, it's a little bit tough for them, because then they got the Cavs, Grizzlies, Lakers. I mean, these are winnable games right here, though. They're not the toughest teams in the league, but they're very tough teams. So they got to be locked in to start the new year. But then they get the Blazers, a little break game, and then Nuggets back-to-back. At home, at least. They're at home, but they get the Nuggets back-to-back games. And then the Mavericks, then the Pelicans and Thunder. So it starts getting a little bit tough to start the new year, because they got to play the Timberwolves, and that's when we finally get into the Celtics rematch. Finally! This is the first game against the Celtics this year is coming January 25th. So January is going to be a little bit of a test, but they do got some break games in there. I mean, the Hornets, I don't think are going to be horrible this year, but this is kind of a break game because they're going into Charlotte. They're probably not going to take them serious. And they got the Wizards, the Pistons as well. But again, they got some really solid sleeper teams mixed in here, like the Pelicans and Cavs. You got the 76ers and Celtics back-to-back. Ooh, that's going to be really tough. It's not back-to-back, but, on the road. 2 road games. You got to fly from Philly all the way to Boston and then play the very next day. That's not easy. Rockets and Kings at home. So you come back home after probably the toughest. This is going to be the toughest road. This is going to be the toughest road trip right here, bro. You start off with the Pistons. We got to look at road trips because these are the teams that make and break teams. These are the parts in the schedule that make and break teams. You got the Pistons in Detroit. You're flying to Cleveland. You get a pretty good rest, but then you play the Cavs, and then you got to fly all the way to Philly. So Cleveland to Philly, and then Philly to Boston. This is 4 cities in about 1 week. So 4 cities, 1 week, games played, and then you're playing against the 2 top teams in the East. and including another top 5 team in the East. This is going to be a very tough part to end January going into February. The good news is All-Star break is coming up. They're going to get a little bit of a rest. But like I said, they go back home. Yes, we're back home, but damn, you got to play the Rockets and Kings. And then you got to play the Warriors and Heat. And then you got to play the Pelicans. So their homestand is pretty long. They get a great break from 8 all the way to 13. So this is actually the All-Star break right here. Right here. So after this Warriors and Heat, we go into the All-Star break. So they're going to be on a tough little road trip to start February to end January. But then right after that, boom, we get really good home games going into All-Star break, potentially feeling good because we won those games in front of our fans. And then back to the business. After All-Star break, we are at home versus the Pelicans, a confidence-building game, a good test. And then we're on the road against the Golden State Warriors, a game that you can win. And is this Klay Thompson's first game back in Golden State? Let's see. No. Okay, so Klay's first game back in Golden State is November 4th, I believe. NBA Cup game. So look out for this game right here. November 12th is going to be a really good game. If Warriors fans or anybody watching, maybe you want to fly, Dallas probably not going to fly to California. But hey, man, if you want to get tickets, go to this game. This game's going to be crazy. But you're going to be in Golden State in LA. So these are 2 big national TV games probably. And you got to go. I mean, that flight's really not too crazy. I'm not going to lie. I've taken that flight many times from North California, Southern California, about an hour, bro. So yeah, that flight's nothing. And you get a day break. So they're going to be well rested for this road trip. They're going to have fun because they're going to be in California in February. Ooh, it might be a little cold, but nah, not too bad. But yeah, Warriors, Lakers, and then, hey, we're back at home and we're playing the Hornets. So this is a very good part of their schedule. It looks like to start, not to start, coming after All-Star break, which we've seen they were really hot last year. They're going to get a real nice start, real nice lift. 2 home games, like I said, against the Warriors and Heat. 2 winnable games, and then you actually get 3 road games versus Pelicans, 3 winnable games. Oh, sorry, this is before the All-Star break. So the Warriors and Heat before All-Star break. So you come back after All-Star break. I know I'm getting sidetracked. Pelicans, and then you're on the road to California. So it's going to be fun, you know. Where is the All-Star game this year, by the way? I don't even know. Somebody let me know. But yeah, California, and then we're back at home to play the Hornets. We don't actually have to go across the country to Charlotte. That's nice. And then we're back at home. We got the Bucks. Good test games for us in front of our home crowd. He builds confidence. Sometimes it's good to play teams like this, especially in the beginning of March. You want to start playing the really good teams at the beginning of March because you're starting to get ready for playoff basketball. If you might be dealing with some injuries at this time too, so you might be getting some new guys in the lineup and getting some continuity, getting some chemistry with them, getting some development with them, and tough, really contested games because then they got Bucks and Kings in 2-game stretch. That's gonna be tough, and then they go on the road for a quick game versus the Bucks and then back at home, which is kind of weird. They're flying from Dallas to Milwaukee back to Dallas. I don't know how. That's pretty decent flight too. And then they get another break. They play the Grizzlies. That's going to be a team that's running up and down after playing a physical game versus the damn Bucks. And after playing a really quick team, like this is going to be a tough stretch. I know people probably don't think it is because the Bucks, Kings, and Grizzlies, maybe people are taking them lightly. But I just think playing a very physical team, then a very fast team, and then having to get a flight all the way and play that physical team and then come back at home playing a very explosive team, it's going to be tough for them. This is a tough part of their schedule, and they don't get a lot of breaks because right after that, look at this. They got a back-to-back, March 9th, March 10th, and it's against the Suns and Spurs. And you got to fly. I mean, not fly. You could probably damn near drive to San Antonio. I really don't know how far it is. Texas is a big-ass state. But yeah, this is going to be tough, bro. So this part of their schedule, beginning of March, is going to be a real test for the team. Looks like they're going to be all over the place playing against teams. They're going to be tired. Fatigue is going to be a big issue. Like I said, injuries might be filled right here. And the injuries going to happen with every team. I don't wish on it. And I hope it's not anybody important. And I hope it's not serious. But hey, man, your body's going to take a toll, especially when you get to March. This is going to be a tough part of the season. Tough part of the season for the Mavericks. That's why I said they got to get off to a good start. As soon as you see those colors on the court, no, Dallas got to lock in. I could actually see Dallas winning the cup this year. And then we're staying in the state of Texas, which is good. But then it's the Spurs and Rockets. Not really a break. And then back at home versus the Sixers. Man, then they finally get their break. After this rough stretch. So the beginning of March, man, they don't really get any time to rest. It's all back to back. We're flying for a quick little flight. Turn around here. This is going to be a really tough part of the schedule. Pacers in Indiana. So you're going on a road trip to Indiana. That's probably not fun. You're playing a quick team, and then you're going back home, playing the Pistons, and then the Nets. Ooh, there we go. There we go. Let's chill out a little bit. We get the Pistons and Nets. And we get a little break in between. I mean, we got to fly across the country, so it ain't really a break. Dallas all the way to Brooklyn. That's kind of tough. But then guess what? We're in Brooklyn one night, and then the following night we're playing in Madison Square Garden after we probably just, dominated 2 games in a row, feeling real good. And then we go to Orlando. It's probably not even fun to play in Orlando. I bet Orlando's a really scrappy team. This is part of the schedule. They're going to be battling for home court advantage in the playoffs. So even if you're having fun, hey, this is a great way to end the season because you got Detroit and Brooklyn in a really good stretch where you could take a little breather, 3 games in between games, and then you get to play a fun game, Madison Square Garden. Good test, good probably national TV game where we're feeling good going into the playoffs. Then we got the Magic, Bulls, Nets, Hawks. That's also a really good stretch where it's like, yeah, we're feeling good. We're feeling good right now. We're getting an easy schedule, rolling into the playoffs, building some chemistry. And then we got the Hawks at home, Clippers, Lakers, Raptors, Grizzlies. Great way to end the season. I expect Dallas to have a great start, like a really good start. I think Dallas is going to have a really good start. Shock a lot of teams. Maybe not even necessarily the first week of their schedule. But once that schedule hits December, I think they're going to be hot. It's going to slow down a little bit. They're going to get frustrated going into the All-Star break, coming out the All-Star break. You think you're going to be good because you're playing some, at home a little bit, and you're going to be feeling good, actually. Then it's going to get it rolling again, and then boom, beginning of March, you're going to get another test where your team is tired. Injuries might start piling up, and then it's like, damn, can we get a break? And then we do. We get to play Detroit and Brooklyn, and then we get to play Madison Square Garden. And then, hey, man, we got the Bulls and Nets coming up. Hey, hold on. Everybody heal up. Take your rest days. We're one of the best teams in the league. Take your rest days. We're feeling good. And then to close the season, we get the Clippers back-to-back, the Lakers, some games in LA, big games probably, for the media. And then the Raptors, the Grizzlies, close it out. We're feeling good. If we beat the Grizzlies last game of the year, we're probably battling for that number 1 seed, going into the playoffs, feeling really confident. I think the big thing for the Dallas Mavericks is stay healthy because I think this roster is definitely contending for an NBA championship. Let me know how you guys are feeling. Thoughts below. I know Dallas Mavericks fans just don't like me for some reason, but I know there are some few that do. Again, this season, Mavericks fans, you guys going crazy. You guys help me out a lot. So I do appreciate you guys, even if you guys troll a lot. I even embrace the troll sometimes. You know what? It's fun. It's kind of funny to laugh at some of you people that are actually being serious. But, I'm not going to slander Mavericks fans. I really do love you guys. It's a love-hate relationship with you guys. All right? And I'm excited for the season upcoming. I think this team is really good. Spacing got a lot better. I think Luka's going to have a career year in assists. I think Clay's going to have one of those bounce back years. He's shooting really good percentage. And I think maybe Spencer Dinwiddie gets his mojo going back. I don't even know. We'll see, though. Dallas fans, what are your expectations going into the season? What do you agree with, disagree with? Hit the like button. Go check out the Patreon. Go check out some of these reactions and breakdowns that I'm doing on Patreon. And if you guys aren't already, become a Lil Red member on Patreon because during the season we are doing full in-depth breakdown videos. And we're going to be following some of these players. So yeah, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. This is ZTAY. Have a beautiful day.